Rules are meant to be broken. So if you've been producing music for a little while, especially if you like to mix and master your own music, you've probably heard of the rule of cutting the sub information on the sides of your mix, right? So you'd grab an EQ and you do something like this where it's just cutting out the sub information on the sides. And that's supposed to help tighten up your low end, maybe get rid of some unwanted muddiness. And it helps with playback stability on like vinyl systems, right? So the needle isn't kind of jumping out of the groove. And I've used this technique myself a lot with, some great results. But I wanted to show you an example of a recent song that came out that kind of takes this idea and flips it on its head. And the track is called Peace of Mind. It's by Shipwreck, Disco Lines, and Dea. And I'll just play a short clip of that track. Let me pull up an analyzer so we can kind of see what's going on. So what I've done is I've soloed the side signal. So what we're seeing on here is the information or the frequencies only on the sides of the mix. And I'm going to play part one of the drop. And this is pretty typical. This is usually what you see, right? There's not a lot of information on the sides below 100 hertz. There's a little bit when the kick drum hits, but that's pretty much all that's going on. But if we fast forward to that second part of the drop, this is what we have. So now all of a sudden we have a ton of sub information on the sides. That's really not something that you typically see. And it goes against that rule of cutting all the side information, below 100 or 200 hertz or whatever. Here's another track for reference. This is Drifting by Tiesto. And again, this is a little bit more typical, right? There's some sub information on the sides, but not a whole lot. And I think we can agree the production sounds really good and it sounds really full. And just to really kind of hit this point home, here's a track by Illenium, who's an artist that's like built his career out of full sounding chord stacks and full sounding production. Same type of thing. There's some sub information on the sides, but there's not a lot compared to the Peace of Mind track. So all this is to say that there's really no hard and fast rules in music. All three of these artists are at the top of the game in the dance music world, and they had different approaches to mixing their low end. But in the end, all three tracks sound great, right? I thought the Shipwreck track, the way that they kind of arranged it and had this sub information come in halfway through the drop was super impactful, and it made it sound incredibly full. Like that blew me away the first time I heard it. I'm not advocating that you put a stereo imager on your low end and you start trying to add width to it, because you'll probably run into a lot of issues. But I think that it's helpful learning these types of rules because then you can figure out how to like rework them or maybe break them all together and end up with some really unique results like in the Shipwreck song. So try stuff out, and if it's sounding good and it's like working for your track, then just go with it.